Anyways, welcome to day 2 to the DUI virtual trade show. So we're down to our last session. So thank you for all those of you who have stuck with us for this whole time. And we are looking forward to doing more of these kinds of events in the future. So with that, I'd like to remind everybody that please message at any point in time during these presentations with your questions. We'll try and answer those as appropriate during that time frame. And if you're watching on Facebook Live, know that you can log into the Zoom portion of this presentation because we do have the ability to break out different users, so to speak, with the different account managers or staff at DUI if you want to have a private meeting at the same time. So with that, I'd like to introduce Pete Nawrocky, going over another thing of OMS products, which is the accessories. So Pete, again, just in case someone's joining us late, just do a quick intro to yourself. And I'm just going to throw this in for myself. First of all, my daughter still hasn't decided to dive yet.
That's your fault.
I know, I'm trying.
So anyway, I'm Pete. I'm the OMS sales manager. I'm also the East Coast representative for DUI. And to keep it simple, I love to dive. I work with Jack. I work with Tor. I work with Doug. I work with Jay. I work for Dick. I work with Bonita. I work with Dan. I work with a lot of really great people. And as you can tell, I'm starting to get a little tired because they decided it's going to be all about me today. So there we go with that. But
your choice.
yeah, right. So I'll be taking tomorrow off, or at least won't be talking. So basically, just to remind you folks, you know, we are set up to work with your dive clubs, work with your shops. I mean, this isn't a one-off. I've already booked 45 presentations since last March with public safety groups, with divers, with anybody. We're more than happy to help you coast to coast. Your account manager could do a presentation for you, and we have a good time. And it works, and there's no charge for it. It's there to support you, and we can cover other types of topics if you want. You can email us, and we'll send you a list of what it is we feel like talking about, because we love talking about ourselves. So there you go. So what we're going to cover right now, the last part of this is the last bit of toys, the accessories, all the stuff that you like to play with, that we all like to play with, to make our dives a little bit easier, to work a little bit easier. And, you know, yeah, we're done the death by PowerPoint, but I do try to keep it somewhat interesting. So yeah, OMS accessories. So I even use spell check and spelt that right. So, you know, the thing we talked about, the harnesses, we talked about the air cells, and now you're going to start customizing it for what it is that you want to do, and adding things into it to make it comfortable for you. Remember, it's all about you. We really try to avoid coming up and saying, this is what you need. And it's like, yeah, but I don't like that. So we're going to make some changes. It's a modular concept that we work with, and that allows for all these changes. We have additional padding for the harnesses and the plates. We have other cutting tools, spools, reels. Of course, the reels are called smart reels. So there you go. And, you know, SMBs and lift bags and fins and masks. The other stuff that has to, it still has to fit you. All right. So let's take a look. I'll go through some of the pockets, and I'll go through some of them individually. The accessory pockets, and this is, people don't pay enough attention to this. There's certain tools you should always be carrying. You should always carrying some sort of a line cutter. Even in a quarry, I carry a line cutter, because you know, you shoot an SMB, your buddy messes up, you're going to cut that line free, let the SMB go, and not like dragging him or her up to the surface, or worse, me. So we have that. We have a thigh pocket. Now, the thigh pocket, here's one of the big problems with thigh pockets with people. That 2-inch strap is designed to connect to your hip. And then the other straps are not to be tightened up to the point they're like a tourniquet and they cut off the blood flow. It's just to keep it positioned. And depending on where that top strap is, will determine on where the pocket is. So if you keep it more toward the front, the pocket will go down the front of your legs. So for some of you who are diving side mount and prefer to have a pocket in the front, this is easier than modifying your entire suit. And we also have larger cargo pockets. Now, the one thing and the one phrase I've always coined, it's how much real estate do you actually have? I mean, if you got a big waist, you can use pretty much anything. But you know, if you're cut, you're a little bit petite, a little bit smaller. Some of these pockets may be too big for you, and you have to think of different ways of working with it and different types of configurations. So the accessory pockets, we also have different types of weight pockets. And by the way, some of the ones we still have, that yellow and red is considered vintage at this point. So we're going to be building into some of those. And then our weight pockets, they simply slide onto your waist strap. And I'll go through them individually and their advantages for those of you that weren't here with us this morning. This will be a little bit of a repeat on the weight pockets, the ballast system, and the other ballast system at the very end. Now, the one at the end, that particular ballast system is still available. It's very popular for a very long time. It's a right and a left side. And that extra 2-inch piece of webbing was designed that you clip it up to a chest ring, that when all the weight's in there and you're standing on the surface, most of the weight is taken up by that 1-inch piece of webbing. The 2-inch webbing around your waist sort of stabilizes it at that point. And then we also have other weight pockets that you'll wind up working with that we have that are variable. You can make changes on it so that you can add extra rings to it if you want to. And then we have the DUI ballast system. So what I'm going to do right now is stop the screen share, and we'll go through some of these individual products at this point. So let's talk about, I have no idea why they call this a mask utility pocket, but you can, in a lot of cases, actually fit a mask on the inside so that you can work with it. It's a spare. You'll wear it on your waist in the front.
So it's a fanny pack?
Huh? Well,
so a fanny pack?
No, it's
doesn't
not
have to use for diving.
Well, actually, to tell you the truth, Jack, I'm not being facetious. If you ran 2 pieces of bungee through the back with a clip, it would clip onto a stainless steel or aluminum plate. You just need the attachment point at that point, and it would be a fanny pack. You know, the trick is being able to grab it and actually extending the ends over here in order to be able to pull and reach it, because it's very difficult to feel in the back. And one trick I used to do was actually, I would put a tie wrap through here and a wiffle golf ball. And then I could reach back and find that easily and open it and close it. And that's one way that will work. All right. There's a secondary accessory pocket on the front, so you can put cutting tools on the inside there. And what will fit in a pocket like this, for those of you that are using those smaller cameras like the GoPro and such, and you want to carry something on the dive all the time, just in case, this is the type pocket that will work very well for you. Oh, there it is. Yeah, I'll be losing stuff during this whole presentation, trust me. We'll get into these a little later on, but for those of you that are actually traveling and have been taught or should have been taught to actually carry an SMB and a spool, at least the spool is 75 feet. Now, this is useless unless you know how to use it. So you really should practice on how to use this. The biggest problem we have for most people is they want to carry it with them. And I see this all the time. They've got the spool clipped off. They've got this thing clipped off on whatever else they could find. And everything's dangling all over the place. And then when they go to find it, it's like that classic, you got a match? And they're all over their body trying to find some of this stuff. Well, this weight pocket, it holds 6 pounds of weight. So here you've actually got a combination weight pocket, and you do need to give this a little squeeze in order to get it to lock down. And you can tell I'm getting tired because I can't get it to lock down. So there we go. So on a pocket like this, if you're a traveling diver, as long as you have 2-inch webbing on the side of your body, you could take your 3.5-foot SMB, your finger spool, and there is a bungee on the inside so it won't disappear. And now you've got a combination weight pocket, and you're carrying your SMB and your bungee on the side of your body. and you could carry it on the left side, and this is where the pressure gauge is going to clip off. Or if you want, you can carry it on the right side because it is ambidextrous. So it's your choice, and we sell them individually. So you don't have to buy a set. You can buy one at a time to decide on what it is that you want to do on your particular rig. And on the opposite side, we do have a 6-pound weight pocket. And all the weight pockets do come with this ring, which is removable. You pop the little O-ring that's on here, and the function, and you don't have to keep it on here. The function of the O-ring is to keep this in a semi-rigid position. But if you pop the O-ring off, it becomes what's termed a flop ring. So it will fold. So it stays out of the way. So that's a choice that you can work with there, depending on how you want your system set up. And then if you do need a bigger weight pocket, this particular one holds 20 pounds on each side. It does have the exterior ring. It's a quick pull out. And with these, there's actually pockets on the inside. So you can either put a lot of weight in the main part of the pocket, or if you're diving somewhere where, well, okay, you're not going to always buy a different set of weight pockets for your rig. You may prefer to put maybe 4 pounds of weight on the inside because you're in the island. You would put it in the back pocket. That way, when you put the weight on and it's located back here, if you're wearing back inflation, it will help keep you in an upright position, as long as you remember to close the zipper. And this is not what's called a double action setup. Single action, push it in, it locks. You need to get it out, you just give it a pull, and it's out of the way, and you can work with it. And this is completely removable. Now, for those of you who are new to our presentation today, DUI is always paramount in thinking in terms of safety for divers. And the original weight and trim system that we had, or I used to have, was a simple pull that used a nylon cord. You could call it weed whacker cord for lack of, just to give you an idea of what it was. You pull it out and the weight dumped real easy, no problem, providing that you pulled it out every once in a while and repacked it, because the nylon would actually take a set, lock itself in position, make it very difficult in order for people to get it out. All right. The other not really a problem, but when you pulled it out, everybody was drawing straws on who was going to put it back together again, because it wasn't super complicated. It just wasn't super easy. How does that sound? Well, the new system makes it a little bit easier. First of all, your buddy, he or she, can see where the pull is, and you just simply pull it out. The pocket comes off. You can hand it up on the boat, and we make these in 2 sizes. This is 20 pounds. Pull the weights up, and again, it is also compartmentalized so that you can divide the weight up in it. But the more important thing, just putting it back together again, is you're simply going to lock in. You have a dock that's actually on the pocket itself, on the harness itself. And then these two line up. And then if you're not overly spastic, this locks in just like that. And you can do it wearing a weight. You can do it while wearing the harness. And as like I said, I've got them in 20 pounds and on each side, or 10 pounds on each side. Now you'll notice that it comes on a harness. You don't need to do this on a harness. We actually have set up so that you can add it to any 2-inch webbing. You can buy the pockets separately. So, and you can mix and match the pockets. They're sold in the set, but if you wanted a 10-pound set while you're traveling and a 20-pound set when you're back home, you can mix it up. And the other thing, and every diver has their own style of diving. I'm diving our CD 300 suit. That particular suit is made out of a very dense neoprene. It's 3 mil thick. It happens to be very buoyant. It's very warm, but it's buoyant. So I'm wearing an extra 10 pounds of weight while diving with it. When I'm normally wearing my TLS 350, I'll wear about 14 pounds of weight with a stainless steel plate. 300 weight undergarment, I'm golden. But in the same conditions wearing that, I needed to wear an extra 10 pounds. So instead of trying to pack an extra 10 pounds of weight into my BC weight pockets, I wear one of these underneath. And now if I actually had a problem, I could ditch the 10 pounds. That 10 pounds will start bringing you up toward the surface at this point, but a little bit more controlled, as opposed to dumping 24 pounds or half the lead and then coming up lopsided because I'm going to be leaning to the side where there's more weight. So it's something to consider. It is part of the protocols that a lot of public safety divers are learning now. It's called the split weight way of diving, and it works comfortably, and it works very well. It's a safer way of going. So let's go look back into our share screen here. So why does this thing keep shutting itself down? Jay, are you doing this to me? Jack, you doing that to me?
No.
Okay.
I can't remotely control your computer.
Okay. Well, you shut me down before. Anyway, so let's take a look at a different way of putting trim pockets on the diver. So what I need to find, oh, here we are. Nothing ever stays here in the same place twice. So on any one of the OMS plates, stainless steel or aluminum, there is a back pad that you can add. And what the back pad actually has is 4 pockets for the trim weights. So instead of adding that little pocket that you see sitting there now, you have 8 pounds of weight that you could add in there. Now, let's quantify that. You got 8 pounds there and 6 pounds of a stainless steel plate. That's 14 pounds of non-ditchable weight. So you really have to think this through, that you're not wearing too much weight that you can't take off. So if you have a problem, buoyancy issue, that you can't get up to the surface and you can't ditch your weight, you know, I don't know how many hand signals you're going to get to try to explain to your buddy to take my weights out and ditch them. So it is something to consider, but it will help with your trim. So if you're having problems where your feet are dragging, what you'll do is you'll actually put 4 pounds of weight on the upper pockets, and that'll help flatten you out in the water. You could take the weight off your waist and just move it up into the back. Having that little extra weight there, if you ditched it, it's the same amount of weight, you'll float on the surface. The little trim pocket, for those of you that don't want to go that way, or it's just like, I'd like to add a little extra trim onto my unit, it's a small trim pocket. It only hold 2.2 pounds if you want to get technical. And that would actually slide onto your cam band. And what people will do is if they need to use 2, they'll use one on the upper, one on the lower. That'll balance it out. If you're really having problems, you could do the same thing and put both of them up toward the top. But that takes a little bit of practice in order to get the cam band to work properly, but it can be done. The pad, okay, that particular pad, that whole thing does not absorb water. The plate actually just slides right up on the inside. There's actually slots on the top for the webbing to come out, slots on the waist for the webbing to come out around the waist, and it dries very, very quickly. So you won't be carrying a lot of excess weight with you.
So one question with the back pad, if it doesn't absorb water, is it positively buoyant to what degree?
The pad is so thin, it's not even going to affect your buoyancy. It's really unlike the original one we had on the IQ Lite, which was big foam rubber, and it did affect the buoyancy. You won't even feel the difference when you're wearing this pad. We do have single tank adapters that you can work with. And the one design feature I've always liked about the OMS one is on the single tank adapter. If you like using a single tank adapter, you can position the cam bands differently on the unit so that you don't wind, if you have somebody who's diving an aluminum 63 or a small cylinder, on the normal STA, as they call them, single tank adapter, if it was only the slots on the bottom and on the very top, you'll find that when you do the bottom one, the top band is not actually engaging the tank. It's actually slightly above the curve of the tank. So you can reposition the cam band so that you will be firmly holding the tank. And you can use any cam bands with that. The other one is a fabric single tank adapter, and that's usually used for folks that are traveling and they're using an aluminum or a stainless steel plate. Most people that travel like to use the aluminum plate. And what this will work with is you'll, instead of using the STA that's on the left-hand side, they'll use one of those, and the cam bands will simply go through the slots of the back plate itself, and then you'll just lock it down, and that'll keep the tank from shifting. Oh, spools and reels.
Quick before you switch to the reels, kind of going back to the back pad-ish question. Since the IQ Lite also has the back pad, what are the inherent buoyancy characteristics of the IQ Lite setup?
Inherent buoyancy characteristics. Well, it's not going to float you. Simple as that. It's not. You're not going to be adding like an extra 4 pounds of weight. To tell you the truth, most people find that once they start wearing back inflation, they tend to wear less lead because there's hardly anything to create buoyancy at that point. Those pads are minimal on buoyancy. You won't even know it. I can't even say it's a pound. It's like next to nothing.
Right. So it makes traveling kind of nice, especially when you're going, to some of the warmer water areas. You don't have to worry about the extra bulk of not only the harness and the system, but you don't have to worry about the added weight of that itself. And
they dry fast. So you're not leaving a trail of water while you're walking up the TSA, and water is weight, and you want it to dry quick. And I know I keep repeating this, but don't let your gear dry in the sun. It's just going to shorten the life. Ultraviolet light just loves to eat up nylon. Let it dry in the shade. It will dry faster in the sun, but you're going to break your gear down quicker. So wind up working with it in the shade. And you got to have some time on the surface before you jump on a plane anyway. So there you go.
Okay. One other question on the previous slide on the single tank adapter. The shape being a unique shape, is there some sort of like integrated weight? Because some people like adding the weight down that single tank adapter. Me personally, I've seen that with some other single tank adapters out there. They have weights that are designed to go along that back plate or that stainless steel.
Well, we don't have that because we wouldn't sell that weight. And the short answer is no, we never set it up like that in order to put that trim weight in there. So the only other way to add the weight is either use a pad or use the weight pockets, the little trim pockets themselves.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. All right, then we're going to get into spools and reels a little bit, and Jack and I kind of laughed about this before. What's the name? Well, it's a smart reel. We have a smart stream, we have the reef stream, and now we have a smart reel. So, but the big thing about the reel, it is a unique design. It's got a different lockdown feature, which I'll show a short video in a moment. But the components, basically, that's a nylon infused plastic, so it works really well in cold weather. Dropping it doesn't, I've only had one return with a crack because he dropped it off the roof of a building. And I'm like, yeah, okay, well, it's not really a warranty issue, but yeah, he broke it that way. But all the interior parts are stainless steel, and they're designed for salt water immersion. So it comes in 2 different sizes, and it is ambidextrous. So let's see if we're going to have this thing play. Yep, here we go. It only runs a minute. So it's a lockdown on the outside. And then if you need to take it apart to clean it, or you get a jam, which is rare because of how tight the tolerances are, take it apart. And it's a double acting lockdown. So you actually have to set it. And there's your lock. So you can't accidentally unlock the reel on here. So going to that, we're going to stop the share here because, oh, what happened? Oh, okay.
What's the line weight on that?
It's 24. So we're thinking in terms of, yeah, they are. There I am. There we go. So let's take a look at these. This is my personal reel, and I differentiated that by putting a die on it so I can work with it. So it's a simple unlock, pull it and work it. And what I happen to like about this reel, right or left side.
I was gonna say, you need to move the camera down a little better, but you're okay. Up there's good.
Better?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a soft Goodman style handle. So if you're wearing, mine's set for wearing my dry gloves, so it's a little bit bigger. Warmer water, you can actually tighten it up. Ladies, you can make it even tighter to fit your hand properly. To control the reel, this is not a drag. This is simply lock or unlock on here. At this point, you actually control the speed while you're swimming by putting your fingers inside these slots right here and creating tension. So you could do that because the way it's designed, right or left-handed. And when you're reeling it in, if you happen to be right-handed, which I am, I'll swim with the reel in this position. Actually, I'll swim it in this position, and then I can crank it in at this point. If I need to stop, I can stop quick and lock it down. So I have, these are available in 250 foot sizes, and we have these also in a 400 foot length. So for those of you who have ever lost a reel, let me give you a little insight on this. This is the proper position for this clip to be in. If you put this in the opposite position so that the lockdown is actually facing the reel, it will snap off. So I'll try to do that slow. It will snap off. So you always set it up so that the lockdown is actually facing the opposite side. And now you don't have to worry about it unlocking.
Is operating these with heavy duty gloves or dry gloves, are you getting the same ease of use?
You have to, when you're wearing regular wetsuit gloves, it works pretty well. Dry gloves, I have to push a little bit harder because I have to compress the undergarment, the liner in the glove in order to get it to lock. But because the tolerances are tight on the side, there's no place to get the glove to get caught in between. You can see how tight the seam is on there. Now, the other thing too, okay, these aren't built by NASA and they're not $1 million a piece, all right? So when you first get them, because it's that nylon impregnated material, you have to go diving and use your reel, and then it'll actually work a little smoother and lock down a little bit easier. So there is, for lack of a better term, a slight breakdown in there. So go cave diving and there you're covered.
Right.
So
So
away for a week.
right. So the action on it, on my reel is also at the beginning, it started off a little more difficult and it got easier to work as I was using it. Another question was, what's the purpose of the metal guard over the line?
You can actually, there's a couple of different ways you can lock this off. If you didn't want to use the lockdown, there is actually a
Right now, there you go.
extra lock. You can work this way. And because of the way it's set up with the holes on the side, you can actually lock it down. Like you're locking down a finger spool. So you have different ways of working with the reel at this point. So we try to give you a lot of options. That includes on the lockdown to put your clip can either be here or on the opposite side. So we try to give you as many different features as possible.
Yeah, on mine, I attached mine with a bolt snap that I just tied on with some cave line.
Yeah,
So you don't
like
use it
anything
that
with
way.
OMS, and we talked about this before we even get started, people like to adapt their gear. And you're adapting it for your own personal use. As long as it's safe, you're not going to have any problems. That's the big thing. Make your own decision. So we're also talking spools now.
As a side note, I've also heard of some people taking off the heavier OMS line and replacing it with the regular spool or cave line
Yes.
to extend out the distance of the length of the actual amount of line that they can add to the spool.
I would gather that if you took that line off the 250 and put the standard 18 cave line on there, you'd probably have 400 feet of line easily. Okay. Now, me personally, because I mostly use it for wreck diving, I like the thicker line, more abrasion resistance, and that's my personal preference. So I just left it alone. So when we're looking at spools, I'll probably not go back to the PowerPoint. We
So
have some
just
really-
real quickly though, another one.
Go ahead.
Why red line?
I am not responsible for red line. Okay. You ready? Because it looks damn good sitting on the shelf.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the reason behind the red line, and everybody has their preference. So, when your cave light goes out, doesn't matter what the color line is, it's too dark to see it anyway. So, but that's a personal preference. So I've left the red line on mine. So there you go. Any other questions before I move on?
I'll let you go on, Pete.
Let me go on.
Yep.
Oh, thank you so much. So finger spools. All right. Now I consider a finger spool expendable. So if I was doing a jump in a cave, we went out a different way and I forgot about it, I wouldn't really get all upset. I don't like to lose my gear, but it's going to happen. Or if I lend it to somebody, there's at least 3 spools out there that somehow accidentally never got returned. So, and that's okay. But, we made them in pink. And the thing was, when we first made them in pink, they started with a run of 1,000. And the thought was, how are we going to sell these? I mean, we had, that was the minimum, the MOQ that we had to go with. Well, pink apparently got everybody's imagination, and we had to do a second run because we sold them so quickly. But we made a couple of little modifications on us. A normal finger spool, the hole in the center is actually big enough to put your finger. Okay. Well, the problem with that, if you put your finger through it and you're shooting a line up and it jams and your finger's still there, you could break a finger. All right. But the only way to actually control a reel that has that opening is you're cupping your fingers through it and your fingers are meeting, but that's not going to change the speed that it's going up. You have to put your hand on the other side to slow it down. Well, we put a concave on both sides so that you can actually hold the reel and squeeze it to the point you could stop it or slow it down. The other thing too that we looked at when we were talking about spools is everybody buys a spool and people, even reels, forget to do something really, really important. Actually, 2 things. First of all, these are machine wound. Sometimes it's just as simple as a drill winding the line onto the reel. Well, this is nylon line. And when it gets wet, nylon swells. And it can swell to the point that it can break some reels, or it can swell to the point you can't get the line off because it's that tight. The other thing, so when you're diving, brand new reel, strip it and repack it by hand. And you might find that there's actually too much line on the reel because you want to make sure that you have openings so that you can lock the reel down properly. And there's so many different ways of doing it. I don't care how you do it, but you have to be able to get the line through here. But people forget to unwrap it. And I've only seen this once with a 100-foot reel shooting at a depth of almost 100 feet. And the SMB goes up and I'm sitting there looking, I'm like, yeah, we should be just fine. And the line goes bink. And he's just holding the reel because he forgot to tie it off. So you should always make sure that it is tied off. And the one way we confirm this, there's a hole right through the center and you can see if there's a knot there. Now you know it's been tied off at that point. So the 75 footers are available in pink. Yes, we do have them in black. We've also got the 100 footers and 150 footers to work with. And these are all the same material that they make the Smart Stream reel out of. And all of our reels do come with the clips, and the clips from OMS are a little different. We actually extended the end so that when you're wearing a dry glove, you can get a better grip. Now, let me give you a little trick when it comes to this. Everybody takes a clip, and in really cold water, they do this. They take the tip of their finger. And let me tell you, when your fingers get cold, your fingers get weak. And then just that action can actually be painful. So another way of opening up a reel, particularly when you're working with the gate reels, is instead of grabbing it like this, take your thumb and slide it down on the side like you're making a fist. You'll actually get more mechanical strength, particularly in a dry glove, because you'll be compressing the glove by pushing it down on the side. So you may want to try that on your next dive. No charge for the instruction. So let's see what else we got.
So
here.
on those double enders and all the clips that we have, one thing I'd like to point out, myself being a cave diver and always worried about entanglement type of things, the gate or the thumb notch on it will not, going on the opposite direction, catch a line.
Right.
So it's less entanglement. It's more resistant to get entangled. And then just a little side note, yes, stainless steel, but the spring's also stainless steel, because it may be on the outside, all the other bolt snaps, double enders, they look good on the outside, but are there parts on the inside stainless steel also?
Then when you buy them at Walmart or Home Depot, they're not stainless. So, and we designed these for saltwater immersion because, as you're already hearing, we dive with the product. So if it doesn't work for us, it's not going to work for you. So we have different size clips depending on what you want to work with. We have the gate style clip, and we have the double ender. So you have different sizes, and we have them all with that extended lockdown on there to make it a little bit easier for you to work with. SMBs. All right, SMBs, we have them 3.5 feet. We have them 6 feet. They all come standard with the combination of oral inflator, or now this will be a bone of contention. Technically, you should use your dry suit hose, not your BC hose, in order to connect to one of these connections. Because if you detach it and you have a buoyancy issue, you can't fill your buoyancy compensator quickly without putting it back together or carrying a spare hose. And this is what's called a no-lock inflator. The way that actually works, there is no slot for your inflator hose to lock in. So you basically pull the sleeve back and push, and that'll inflate it. And if it gets out of the way, it'll simply pop off. It won't stay attached. You won't get dragged up to the surface with your inflator hose. Now, with the OMS ones, every one of them has an overpressure valve. And then the reason for that, even if it is the one, this one here is called the hybrid, it actually has 2 pieces of lead on the inside that you can squeeze it. It'll come out packed like this. You'll squeeze it open. And now you can get your second stage in there in order for it to blow up. Now there is, on all of them, there's actually a one-way valve on the inside, so that when you shoot the SMB from depth and it hits the surface, and this happens to everybody, the SMB basically hits the surface and then it lays flat. And if it lays flat for too long, all the air will blow out of it. So you want this to hold the air on the inside. And that's the reason for the overpressure valve. So that if you shoot it from 40 or 50 feet and you really blow this thing up halfway or more than halfway, it'll fill all the way, Boyle's law, and it'll vent and blow the air out, but it will stay floating on the surface the whole time, so you don't have to worry about it at that point. So that's in our hybrid, and the hybrid is available in 3.5 and 6 foot lengths. So that'll work. And they come in orange, yellow, and pink. And eventually pink is going to be the standard, because I don't care where you are, but you can see the pink one everywhere. All right. Now, also located, particularly on the 6 foot hybrid, we have reflective tape. So at night, if they shine a light, it's going to shine. And then, of course, you all know what this is for. And you're all saying, yeah, it's for asylum stick. Well, if you put a $5 bill in here, the boat will pick you up first.
That though.
Now,
From distance.
yeah, well, you just show them a $5 bill and they'll say, yeah, it's the guy I'm going to pick up. Okay. We actually have them in 16 foot lengths. And the big joke in the price list says they're 16 feet long and you can orally inflate it. Good luck with that. If you've got any, that's our COPD test. Okay. If you can blow that thing up, you don't have a problem. So it's like people like, so why are they 16 feet? Well, you have to remember we're dealing with the European market also. And we do have people that dive in the North Sea, 10 to 15 foot seas, and they're doing drift tanks. Your little 3 foot SMB will never be seen. Your 6 foot SMB would be a miracle. So that's why they have a 16 foot length to have a better chance of spotting the diver at that point. And that's why they have it. They all roll up, and they either have a Velcro or they have an elastic band in order to lock it down. And they all come with a plastic clip on there. And the question always comes up, why aren't the inflators metal? Because if you're diving really cold water and you put that metal inflator hose against your mouth, you'll feel it right through your teeth. So that's why we elected to go with the plastic ones. We do have safety sets, and some folks happen to like diving this particular way or traveling this way. They don't want to go to another pocket. Oh, here it is. And we make these in 3.5 foot lengths, yellow, red, yellow, orange, and pink. We also have them 75 foot or 100 foot. It locks into this little bag, and there's actually 2-inch webbing so that you can put on your waist. It's designed for saltwater immersion. It does have quick drain holes on the side. So if you don't want to put a weight pocket on, you can carry it this way. It keeps everything close. You can put a clip on it, so it'll just basically hang off your body. Probably best if you kept it toward the rear of your body. That way it'll be floating slightly up while you're making the dive. It stays out of the way, and it's an easy way of carrying your gear. Lift bags, my favorite.
Why there's this safety kit is you got to remember, well, especially if you're working at a dive shop or you're selling these items, a lot of the open water divers will, they'll see that the boat requires them to have a surface marker buoy. They'll have a surface marker buoy, but they won't have a spool. So the whole point of these safety kits is to have both items. And this is a good reminder.
Well, yes, thank you. And it's a useless piece of gear if you don't know how to use it. You have to practice. You got to go out and do it. And I know I'll keep pounding on this, but I've only had one situation in my life where I had to shoot. It was basically, I used a lift bag that I was carrying because we did a 200-foot dive on CCR. One of my buddies wound up having a problem. They went to open circuit. They were together. I looked down and they were gone. Literally looked down and they were gone. Well, I come up, I had to make my stop. I decomposed. I decompressed before I came up to the surface, but I'm like, no one sees bubbles on a rebreather diver. So I had to shoot the SMB using a reel to let them know where I was while I was finishing up my deco at that point, while carrying an Aquatica housing with 2 strobes. if I hadn't practiced it a number of times, I wouldn't have been able to do it, because if I had dropped the reel, it would have gone down to God knows how deep that was off of Bonaire. So these are skills you need to practice. And once you practice these skills, you'll feel so much more comfortable, particularly on a drift dive. If you get separated from the boat, or the group, I should say, and you need to mark your location, because you don't want to come up to the surface, look where everybody is. Don't blow off a safety stop. Shoot it, take a look at what's going on, do your stop, and then you can swim to the surface and see what's going on. So lift bags. Lift bags are designed for lift.
Hey, Pete, got a
Yeah.
real quick question going back to the SMBs. Because we have the orange, yellow, and the pink SMB, is there importance of having like a yellow or an orange SMB? Do they mean different things? I know in the past, different locations, orange meant one thing and yellow meant another thing.
Yeah, I was doing some dives where you were required to carry both, because we were 100 miles offshore. And they said, basically, if you come up off the wreck and you're okay, which means you have plenty of gas, it's really not a problem, you're just off the wreck, shoot the orange bag, we'll keep an eye on you, there won't be a problem, and you'll be good. If you shoot the yellow bag, they will be on you instantly with extra deco gas at that point, because they know you have a problem now. So the parameters change depending on where you are, and it'll go either way. The best thing to do is to ask the captain and the crew, what are your procedures? What is it that I should be carrying with me while making the dive?
So a lot of cases nowadays, it's coming down to more of, it's common to have, everyone has multiple colors, because having a standardized color was kind of difficult in these days.
Yes.
But if you're diving with your buddy team and the boat sees multiple surface marker buoys going up, that was like a real true signal of, oh, there's something going on.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing is if there's really something going on, you'd be lucky to get one SMB up to the surface, but that's
True.
a whole other story. So, but like I said, once again, it's a skill that you have to practice. And lift bags are designed for lifting. Okay, SMBs are designed for you to mark your location. So, and this is all part, this is part of a search and recovery class, is properly using a lift bag. And it takes a bit of practice. I'm not going to give you a lot of tips on something like this, but you do know how to have to work with it, how to work with the load, and how to bring it up. So one skill I've always had, I do with public safety divers in my advanced class, was basically putting it real short. They had to go out and find the milk carton full of rocks. They had 4 uneven pieces of line. They had to tie a bowline, a half hitch, and a sheet bend, and bring it up to the surface, and then bring it back down to the bottom. All right, it was all skills. But the big thing, if you ever shoot a lift bag, never be under the load in case the bag separates. You're going to wear whatever you're sending up. And 2, SMB or lift bags, always make sure you're looking up before you send it up, that somebody's not in the way or there's not a boat passing by. Safety tools, cutting edges, things that you should be carrying one way or another. And this really comes down to, this is about protection. I just want to run through this quick, then I'll go through the product on their protection in terms of getting entangled in line. And this can happen anywhere. And there's different types of edges that you can work with depending on where you are and what you're doing. So let me get out of this. Stop the share. All right. This is this is a 2020 product. This is actually a line cutter. The blade is not metal. It is ceramic, so that you can change it. What's unique on this is actually the way you can attach this. You can take it just the way you see it and actually wrap it around. You can put it on your chest if you wanted to, and this will lock down, and that'll go through the 2-inch webbing, hold it in this position like that. You probably find it a little easier upside down, so you're pulling it down, but there is Velcro in order to hold it in place. Or you can now take the same thing, fold the strap this way, there's an extra piece of Velcro to lock it down. And now you could put it through 2-inch webbing if you want to put it on your waist. And we have these in orange or in black. So you have a different cutting tool to work with. The old standby, which has been around pretty much forever. Set of shears. And the reason Northeast Wreck Divers, and I always carried a set, I still carry a set of shears for one reason. Razor wire, you can't cut through razor wire. You need a set of shears to get through razor wire. You're either going to untangle it by untangling it, or you're going to cut your way out. So with this, we have the ability for 2-inch webbing. I will normally actually carry this in one of my dry suit pockets, so it stays out of the way. They're really inexpensive, and they come with the sheath. And then comes, and every time I put this on display anywhere, there's always a little sign, very sharp. The pouch has 2 lockdowns. You've got it on the top, and there's an extra strap on the inside. So you now take it out, and this comes in a blunt tip or a pointy tip. A line cutter, serrated edge, and a very sharp edge. But it also does something else too. You pop the back open, and now it's a set of cutting shears. So you just have something really heavy duty, and then you slide it back in, and you can put this over. You're getting out of a situation, put it in. Chances are you're not going to lose it, but you do have a second lockdown to keep it from coming apart. And then I know I saw the next slide. We're going to start talking about our fins, and this is near and dear to my heart because I happen to have a pair of fins I actually absolutely love, and the first one is the Slipstream. The Slipstream, when it originally came out, only had 3 sizes: large, extra large, and double X. This particular fin is made out of a blend of monoprene. And no, Jack, I can't tell you what the blend is because it's secret. So, but this type of fin, it's rated as one of the best tech fins out on the market. Forget that. It's just a comfortable fin to move. But here's the difference on monoprene. Monoprene, when you first get this fin, you'll be swimming through the water. It's like, oh my God, this thing is so stiff. I can barely move it. You do about 8 to 10 dives with it, this material actually blends in and gets softer. It doesn't get floppy, but it will get softer. And what I like about this fin as a photographer, I use the frog kick. Jack's using the frog kick. I know most of the guys I know use the frog kick, but you can do one thing with a frog kick that you can't do with a flutter kick. You can back up. You can learn to do the back kick with that style, with this style fin. You can also do a helicopter turn. There's a lot of different things, different fin kicks that you can work with, modified flutter, modified frog. So, but it is for its size, a very lightweight fin. It really doesn't float because we put a stainless steel strap on it. So that's going to be your sizing right there. To give you an idea on the sizing, I use a pair of extra larges. I have a size 10 foot. And either my Ultra Flex or my Super Flex boot fits in there. And then what's new for 2020, we have what's called the Tribe fin. Now, you'll notice our fins are pretty much that. Those are rubber and monoprene. They're all in black. We did bring in some of the colors, and it really comes down to how we're going to work our inventory is by demand. So if not enough people buy, we don't want to be sitting on a lot of inventory where we can't move it at all. So we're very careful on what we bring in, and it really goes by the demand. So we'll see how time moves forward with that. The last fin, that's the Reefstream fin. The Reefstream fin is basically a plastic composite fin. It's good introductory fin. Or if you're looking for a lighter fin for travel and you're wearing a dry suit, these fins have an ample foot pocket in order to work with. I actually have extra room in my fin when I'm wearing a large, extra large, and I wear them in gray. So sorry, guys, we don't have them in large, extra large, and pink. You'll have to deal with that boring color if that's what you want. The slipstream floats a little bit. The tribe fin, very negative. And if you want white, I have white fins. I have so many white fins. These are on special through your dive shop. We'll set you up with a really good price. And they're slipstreams.
So you can look like me because I dive with the white fins.
Well, then we're short one pair. There we go. So the thing is with the white fins, by the way, if you're an instructor or dive master, and everybody says this, follow me. And everybody looks the same from the back. Black fins and a scuba tank. The white fins will differentiate you, so there's no doubt who you are at that point. We have masks and snorkel on the top.
Real quick, going back to the fins, on the slipstream fins, do you know what the negative rating or negative weight is in water?
Well, it depends. What's the specific gravity, Jack?
Well, I'm diving salt water, so.
Yeah, okay. Well, they're almost neutral in salt water. The only thing that actually gives them weight is the spring.
I do know they do sink because I've seen people lose them. Well, they don't sink like rocks. They slowly will settle on the bottom.
That's the spring. It'll drag it down. If you had a rubber strap on it, they wouldn't float to the surface, but they'd sink real slow. Now the tribe fin's a rock.
Right. And as far as like travel weight with the slipstreams, equivalent to another brand of fins that look very similar to them that are made out of rubber, the slipstreams are definitely almost half the weight.
Yes.
So travel, it's awesome.
Yep. And the blade isn't exceedingly long, so it will fit in most travel cases without a problem, and actually most luggage without a problem. And then we do have different style masks. We have the tribe mask and we have the tattoo mask. It really, as you all know, it really comes down to your fit. And the big thing about it, we use a different type of glass in there that's optically clear. It's almost scratch resistant. You do have to maintain it. I've been wearing the same mask now. And what I love about the silicone blend we use, the same mask now for 4 years, and it hasn't yellowed at all. And I wash it and I just don't let it dry in the sun, and I actually put readers in it so I can see where I'm going. And then of course we have reef stream snorkels, and that's not the right name because the only true name for a snorkel is tubular annoyance. So Jack will tell you that. So there you go. But it does have a purge valve in it. It actually has lockdown on the top. So it's a snorkel. What can I tell you? How far can I go into that?
So when I've had to use a snorkel, I would have to say they function well for a snorkel. How's that?
Yeah, that's it. There's very few moving parts. So, and that pretty much ends everything. Look, Jack, I'm done 30 seconds early. So that pretty much ends everything that we're covering today on behalf of DUI and OMS and all the staff that decided to stay awake and watch this. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to take a look at what we're doing. There's my email confirmation address. You could always email me with any other questions or presentations, however you want to work. There's my phone number if you want to do it that way, or call DUI, ask for Jack. He's got nothing better to do, and he'll answer your questions too, which means he'll be calling me. So we'll go from there. All right, Jack, I'm going to turn it back over to you, buddy.
Okay, so thanks everybody for being part of our first virtual trade show with DUI. And again, all these videos will be instantly available on Facebook. That's why if you're watching from Facebook themselves, each one stopped in between each session. That's so you could bring them up individually and watch them and not have to go through 4 hours of video. These will also be posted on our YouTube channel. You have to give me several days for that. It's a little bit different process to get those up online for that. Some other information just in general, if you need to schedule a virtual meeting, just like what we kind of did today for your dive shop or for your dive club or dive group, please contact any of us at DUI and we can make that happen, arrange something to happen like that. We love sharing our diving experiences with everybody. Just as you can tell from Pete, myself, we're all active divers. And the only reason I'm not diving today is because the ocean locally is not agreeing. But just like probably like Pete, I'm going to be diving all weekend. Have 2 days of diving scheduled for this weekend. So future of what's going on, I know some of you have been participants in a webinar or a online session that we run once a month called Deep Dive with DUI. We did not run it this month because of this event. We are scheduled again to have this happen in April, and it happens on the first Thursday of each month. With that, the coming up presentation is actually going to be diving in the Great Lakes. We also have some other stuff scheduled for diving extreme cold water in the northern Canada area, and then we'll get used to saying like good one, stuff like that. So we have some stuff scheduled, even some exotic trips from Faith, who worked with DUI. She now has a travel company that travels to different locations that are pretty much bucket list travel destinations that I still need to go on myself. So, so even if I'm not diving those locations, I want to learn about them. So look forward for those deep dive with DUIs coming up in the future. So with that, thank you. I will be